Hey, David McGuffin here. Welcome to Showcasing Europe, the second night of this three-night celebration. If you were with me last night, we talked a little bit about some of the tours in Ireland and Ireland, Scotland, and Wales, and a few more. And tonight we're concentrating a lot on four tours that don't get a whole lot of traction with folks, and I want to make sure that I promote it and have somebody please sign up for them, because otherwise I'm going to throw them by the wayside and just concentrate on the ones that are really selling. Let me go back here and share this screen. Let's see. That's not it. I should have unshared.
It's going to be your Google. Now go back.
We're
X.
here. I'll let Leslie try.
Great. Where's my?
What happened to the pointer? I see it back there. I'll click that. So I wonder what happens. We can't even find that. We are technical difficulty. There we go.
Oh, let's click on this.
Get this back on and never stop again.
There we go. I'm gonna pause it.
Yep. Okay.
All right.
Boy, thank you guys for sticking with me. All right. So we're talking about the best of Spain, Portugal, the best of France, and the best of Med. The first one we're going to deal with is the best of Med, but I want to tell you a little bit about myself. Same promo as last night, because I'm a little bit different than all these other guys that get on here and talk to you. And because I'm on the ground 150 plus days a year, leading people around just like you all over Europe. Let me just comment on the photos that are rolling by here. There's in Volterra, Italy, Paris, France. Again, Paris, France at the Champs-Élysées. That's in Scotland. There we are on the London Eye. That's got to be in Ireland. This is in Germany in the Black Forest. Of course, we have some great dinners along the way as well. This is Jamie Oliver's restaurant. This is a restaurant in France. Here we go on the Champs-Élysées again. Cooking class in Volterra, Italy on our villa tour. And our bus in Tuscany. Another wine tasting in Tuscany. And this is my group in the Chianti Classico region in Italy. So with my tours, we have 23 tour routes all over Europe, visiting those 17 countries that are in green. And tonight we're doing the best of the Med. It's first, best of Spain, best of Portugal, and the best of France. I timed it out at 33 minutes. I guess I've wasted one. So I'm going to move on quickly so that I can get over and not waste too much of your time tonight. All of our tours are 6 to 18 passengers. We stay in hotels that are centrally located to everywhere. We have comfortable transportation. We go by boat, bus, train, and sometimes we even fly from one destination to the other. Breakfast is included every morning. We have about half of the dinners that are included. I enjoy wining and dining and eating very well. So the dinners that we have together as a group, I take pride in finding the best restaurants around and going to those and have an authentic and traditional experience for dining. We include all the sightseeing and admission. We have local tour guides that join us, along with guys like myself or others that are my Exploring Europe guides that help you out. You get about 40% of your time is free on your own to go out and experience things once we taught you the locale. And you have, like I mentioned, a fun and professional tour guide on the bus with you at all the times. Tips and gratuities are included for the entire tour, so you don't have to worry about that. And one price, we hope, covers everything except your airfare to get there. And we try to cover everything else except for your snacks and souvenirs and those dinners that we don't have together as a group. Our specials tonight are $300 off any if you book the Best of the Med tour in October of this year. We've already got some folks signed up for it, but we'd love to have a few more. I think Charlotte and I both are going to be leading that. If not both of us, one of the two of us will be doing that. And that's going along. We'll talk about that in just a minute. And then $200 off any other of the tours that I talk about tonight for booking in 2025. Remember, it's $400 deposit, and that holds your spot on a tour up until 4 months before the tour departs. And at that time, you can cancel out free of charge and no problem up to 4 months, and your final payments due 30 or 90 days before we finish up and before the destination and departure date. So the Best of the Med tour is 11 days. It's $37.89 retail price. That comes out to about $344 a day. We're advertising this for October of this year for $300 off of that. It begins in Barcelona, which is in Spain, the Catalonia region. This is the old cathedral in the old town of Barcelona. We love gazpacho in Spain, so almost every night we get gazpacho, which is a cold tomato and cucumber soup. It is wonderful and refreshing. This is just one of the areas of there. This is Antonio Gaudi, is a famous artist and architect, and he has this block of discord that is there in the Eixample region of Barcelona. There's also a beach in Barcelona because it is on the Mediterranean Sea. And this beach was man-made, believe it or not, for the Olympics some years ago. This is the old cathedral again. Some of the ancient dining places in the old barrio Gothic area, the old town area. Another of Gaudi's block of discord. Just a dining place. And then this is Antonio Gaudi's big church called the La Sagrada Familia, the Sacred Family Church. And it is under construction, for the past almost 100 years, but it's due to be completed in 2026. So it is a wonderful church, and I've seen it go up for the last, I don't know, what have I been going, 25, 30 years to go in there. So they're doing very well. These are some scenes inside. This is a harbor. We do a hop-on, hop-off bus, and it's a great way to get around Barcelona. And these are my friends, Valerie and Jim, that we were there a few years ago, having a wonderful dinner at this little place just down the road. We leave Spain, and we cross the border into southern France. We visit this medieval town called Carcassonne, and it is noted for this, as you see, these this fortified walled city dating from the 14th and 15th century. This is within the walled city, an old town. Of course, it's no cars and only pedestrians. And it is just a beautiful place. We stay one night there, so we get to kind of hang out in that old city center and have dinner together. That's me on the Pont de Gare. This is a Roman aqueduct some years back. And believe it or not, I wasn't a teenager then. I think I was still teaching school in the middle 2000s, but somebody taught me into growing out my hair. So this is a great place to go. It's a Roman aqueduct over the River Gard there in southern France. My friends Byron and Laura were there with us a few years back as well. Then we go to the town of Arles. Arles is also in Provence, the southern part of France, and it's famous for, number one, the Roman Colosseum that is there, just like the Colosseum in Rome. But this one is a bit smaller, but it's a bit more intact than the one in Rome. It's also famous for, who is the artist, Starry Night? Van Gogh. Yeah, I was going to say Monet, but Van Gogh. And he lived in this city and painted many, many scenes all over the place in this city from this. And this actually, you can't really tell it, but it's a sign looking at the river where he actually stood there and painted the Starry Night photo. And that's kind of looking in the daytime where it is. Another part of the historic town of Arles as well, and also in the Roman amphitheater there in Arles. We leave there and we go up into it's called the Luberon Mountains, which is kind of a divider between the sea and the mountains. And this town of Bonnu, we really like staying in if we can get in, because it's not a tourist town. We know some folks that live there. There's vineyards down there. You can see it. There are hill towns all over the place here, and it has some fantastic dining locations. And there's also places, this is the town of Gordes, Gords. And if you've ever read any books by Peter Mayle, who was like a Life in Provence and things like that, this is where he has the settings for his books. This is the town of Bonnu. And then on Sunday, Charlotte loves to take everybody to a town market on Sunday. And it's not just going to see fruits and vegetables, but a little bit of everything, from antiques to fruits, vegetables, fish, all kind of stuff. But everybody in the area turns out for these town markets. From there, we head down to Nice, France, which is on the Mediterranean Sea as well. A big beach is where a lot of times you hear it with the rich and famous showing up there, but the beach is accessible for all. It's a beautiful place. And from that point, we get on a train and we leave and we go into Italy, and we're 3 nights in the Cinque Terre region, which are 5 little towns based in a village, or based in a setting, 5 little villages based on the Ligurian Sea, or part of the Mediterranean Sea. We love this place, all of these places, and we go there. And this Best of the Med tour happens to be the only one that we are able to be there for 3 consecutive nights. This is in the town of Rio Maggiore right here, and Monterolo, another Monterolo town. And this is the town of Monterosso Amare. And, you can ride bicycles, but look at that sunset going there. There's one of our hotels we stay in Villa Adriana, there in Monterosso. So that's the Best of the Med tour, $37.89, $300 off of that. There's one in October leaving. I hope somebody signs up and goes with us, because we certainly would like to show that tour off. Also have the Best of Spain tour, which is, I think, just the itinerary that I've put together has been wonderful. It begins in Barcelona. I mentioned that already for two days. I've showed you some scenes in Barcelona, but we concentrate a lot on Gaudi's La Sagrada Familia. Then we get on this Avalo train, this fast train to Madrid, and in 2 hours, we're up into Madrid at the main train station. And Madrid is basically the capital of Spain. It's right in the very center of the country. And it is a true Castilian area of Spain. This is the royal palace there in Spain, which actually a real king is still king in Spain. Kind of a figurehead. This is the cathedral right next door. And this is the city hall. We also probably have an opportunity to go see flamenco dancing there in Madrid. Tio Pepe is a famous symbol and a billboard there as well, because it's a liquor that is manufactured right there in the Madrid area. This is inside that royal palace, and they only allow us to take photos right there. And then we can't take any other photos, but we have a guide, one of my friends called Fernando, Fernando, sorry, I'm thinking of somebody in Italy. Fernando, who is there to help us and show us around. This is a park called Retiro Park. Just another, tapas are all over the place in Spain. So tapas are small little bites, but they also have a portion kind of like this called ración. And so we got just tapas, and that was to share for a table of 4 people. That's one of the restaurants we went to. And there's also the La Buquerie Market as well there in Madrid. That happens on Sundays and a couple of other days a week, where everybody comes out and celebrates and visits and has a market. Outside of Madrid is a big palace called El Escorial. And it's a royal palace out there, and we'll just stop by there and look at it because it's dominating the skyline. And then we visit the Valley of the Fallen. The Spanish had a civil war and ended in the 1970s, but here is a underneath this cross and in the mountain is a Catholic church that honors all those who died in the battle on both sides of that battle. Segovia is a wonderful town just north of Barcelona, about an hour. We stay overnight there. You can see this impressive Roman aqueduct throughout the town. Here we go with some more sangria. Sangria is, I talked to you about gazpacho, but sangria is a refreshing punch, let's say, wine and other juices and things. And that between that and sangria, you got to have that in Spain, no matter what time of year you're there. It's also famous for roasted suckling pig. And this is the most famous roasting suckling pig restaurant in all of Spain. This is all they serve there. And they take that and get a cleaver and chop it up, and we eat and feast on that. Just think of pulled pork without the looking at the pig's feet and head and snout and all of that. It's got a wonderful cathedral right there in town. All of this area is pedestrian friendly, so no cars or anything there. It's very walkable. We're overnight one night in Segovia. Then on to Toledo. Toledo used to be the capital of Spain before Madrid took over. And, you've heard the word Holy Toledo. That's where that comes from. And it's also the home of the famous artist El Greco, who wasn't a Spaniard, but a Greek who lived in the area and painted many, many scenes here. So that's looking over to the church and the cathedral and the main big city hall and palace as well, looking across the river there. This is the cathedral there, which is this, I didn't look it up, but I think it's the third largest cathedral in the world. And so that would be the Vatican, and then the one in Milan, I think, and then this one. Another gazpacho, got to have that. That's that cold tomato and cucumber soup. Cheeses, racion, tapas of cheeses, and a sunset overlooking the city. We're there in Segovia one night and Toledo for one night. And this is a sunset, or actually this is the sunrise over Toledo. Then we leave and go south to Granada. Granada is a city that was occupied by the North Africans, the Moors, for over 900 years. And so it is a beautiful place. And this is one of the places that I have found a location I love to go to and have dinner up here on this hill overlooking that palace there, which is the royal palace of the Moorish princes that were there. And it's called the Alcazar, looking across the valley to that, illuminated. This is one of our dinner spots that we love to go to. This is down in the town along the river, looking over at the cathedral as well. And this is within the palace, the Alcazar Palace, looking back over. You can see it's dry and arid here, but this Moorish style is dominant all over the city. Those princes of the Moorish princes and kings, they're not called kings, but I can't remember what they are. But they were water was very important to them, and they were in a dry and arid land. And so to have the water was to be rich. And so water abounds all over this park called the Generalife Gardens. This is another little tapas, just tomatoes, tomatoes and cheese. It was wonderful. And then we leave there and we go south to the coast, to the Mediterranean coast. This is the town of Nerja. It's on the Costa del Sol. Many people think the Costa del Sol has high-rise apartments and everything else, but that's on further down back to the west. This one is just the perfect town to go in. We're one night here at Nerja, and you can see it's just a small little village. Meat is supreme here, along with some fish as well. This is called the Balcony of Europe, that goes out there, and you kind of look out into the Mediterranean Sea as well. People hang out there all hours of day and night. From there, we go up into the mountains, into the frontier of Spain. And from here, we're in Andalusia, and this is Arcos de la Frontera. And this is Arcos up on that cliff looking from the valley below. And these are scenes we're up in Arcos looking out through, and we're there one night in Arcos as well. Seeing these white villages scattered around that are just fantastic. We stay right here. We find a place to park or have the bus drop us off right here in front of the old church. And then we stay there, and this is our balcony looking out over there into the flatlands of that area that we know as the Frontera. The last time in 2022, we started going down to Gibraltar as well. First time for me was just a year and a half ago, and that continues to be part of our tour program. And we'll spend about 4 hours in Gibraltar. So we drive in, you can see the Rock of Gibraltar there. We go into, and that's English UK territory. So the Spanish stops and everybody starts speaking English with an accent there. And we hop on one of these tour buses and we take a tour that takes us everywhere we need to go. These monkeys are just all over the place, and don't feed them because they'll take your fingers off. But they're all over the place. You can see a barge heading just across 8 miles over to Africa as well. This is looking up from the high promontory point there on the Rock of Gibraltar. I thought it was funny, we were heading back, so there's a McDonald's sign in Spain and the Rock of Gibraltar there and peeking up in the background. From there, we finish up our Best of Spain tour in Sevilla. Sevilla is a wonderful capital city. It's got this great cathedral here and this tower. We probably will have an opportunity also to see and to hear flamenco music and dancing. And this cathedral just dominates the whole area. And there's also a Moorish palace there as well, called the Alcazar, that we'll go and tour with a local guide as well. Again, the Moorish kings and nobility love to have gardens and water, and that's all over there as well. Another version of sangria on this whole street in the old town called I think it's called the Barrio Alto here in Sevilla. You can see right down through here, plenty of places to get a traditional dinner along the way. And it's always comfortable there no matter what time of year because we're in southern Spain. During the hot summer months, these nets are put across or across the walkways and give you a little more shade. So that helps out as well. I just thought that was a beautiful area of that big bell tower from the church. And that was made, actually, it was made so that horses could go all the way to the top because men didn't want to climb up there. The river runs right through there and some ancient ships. And here is an actual real used bull ring as well. And some of this famous ham, Iberico ham and cheese from the region. So that's the Best of Spain tour, 13 days, $43.95. $200 off of that for the 2025 departures on that, and comes in at $338 a day, not including the discounts. The Best of France also is my baby. I love doing this tour. I just don't get to do it enough, but it starts with 3 days in Paris, and we visit, of course, the Eiffel Tower. Many different destinations. You go up to the top of Eiffel Tower. This is a view from the Eiffel Tower looking to the military museum, and this is where Napoleon's tomb is under that gold dome. I love escargot, so I get a lot of that along with duck confit as well. This is Notre Dame Cathedral, which you realize some years back the roof burned off of it, and they're still constructing it and hoping to have it completed. I haven't got an update yet by the time the Olympics occur in July of this year. This was shortly after that. I think this might have been a year ago in the summer. So the scaffolding and everything is still up there. We take a cruise on the River Seine in one of the boats like this for an hour and at sunset and get a wonderful views of the city. The Louvre Museum is right there, which is the palaces of the kings and queens of France up until the Revolution. And this is the crown jewels of France that are now that are owned by the people of France as well. That building in the background that looks like our U.S. Capitol is the Pantheon, and looking at it through Luxembourg Gardens, which is a palace there built by Marie Medici, and is now is the gardens and the palace there are the home of the Senate of France. Again, this is the Pantheon there. This is just a street scene in Paris, up on the area around Champs-Élysées. This is the Arc de Triomphe there. And then high up on a hill is this building called the Sacré-Cœur, which is the Sacred Church. And we love to go up there and spend the afternoon and evening on Montmartre, visit the church. And although we don't go to the Moulin Rouge show, it is right there because it is on the hillside of Montmartre. And this is where there were many, many windmills up there for grinding grain and everything else. Just a typical little Citroën car there in France. From there, we go south into the Burgundy region. It's famous for wine. But this right here is rapeseed, or we call it it's harvested and pressed and used for what we know as canola oil. So in certain times in the spring, you see that all over the place in this region of Burgundy. We visit this little town of Vézelay. We just stopped by for a lunch visit. It is a characteristic French town that goes uphill to a church at the top of it, and not a tourist inside. It's mostly French people, but we enjoy going and being a part of that whole culture scene and getting some lunch, and then heading on from Vézelay over to Beaune. And in Beaune, that is the capital of Burgundy, and there are a lot of wineries around the region of Beaune, and that's Vézelay. So here we are, the Côte de Beaune. I'm standing there in the wine and the vineyards. This is summer, so it's before harvest, and not many grapes are on the vine yet. Another one of my favorites, escargot galore, and some of the scenes in Beaune as well. I guess that's the dessert. Something strawberry mousse, maybe, from some restaurant we went to in Beaune. This is the Hospice de Beaune. So it's hospice is a French word, and this is the hospital for the old retired army people at the time. And so it's a beautiful place to go in and visit. Then there's plenty of wine to purchase and drink in the town. Here's some guys coming out in the vineyards to kind of trim the vines a little bit. And one of the big signs, the Bourgogne or Burgundy wine of Beaune. From there, we head across the country a little bit back to the west, and we visit the Loire Valley and Amboise. And this is the town of Amboise, and you can see typical French chateaus are all over the place here. This river flows through here, the Loire River, and along that are many, many different vineyards, and also places. Fishing is very popular along that river as well. So this is the town of Amboise. But as a matter of fact, this is where Leonardo da Vinci retired. There was a house that he was given called Clos Lucé, and that's where he arrived. He brought his Mona Lisa painting from Italy, and that's how it ended up in France and the Louvre as well. So he lived his last years there in Amboise here. Half timber homes of Amboise, some of the gardens around there, and this is the out in the countryside. There are many chateaus, and this is the Chateau Chenonceau, which I think is the most beautiful chateau around and most accessible for tourists because you can walk through many of the rooms. This is a long hallway that traverses the river that is there as well. And so just beautiful. And the day we were there recently was just beautiful with the clouds and blue sky and everything else. And then a long walkway like all the chateaus have, with these plane trees, or we call them sycamore trees here in the States, lining the way. Some of our meals in France. France is famous for their sauces and everything like that. And so everything has rich sauces, but this is just a wonderful meal. It looks like it's meat, some vegetables, and potatoes. By the way, a lot of times we stay at Mercure hotels, or hotels that are from the French chain called Accor Hotels. And this is just a typical breakfast at one of those French breakfasts. So a piece of ham, some butter and bread, of course. I think I got some little pancakes and eggs. So that's a typical breakfast. Looking back over from our hotel to the town of Amboise, and there's a pool there as well. And we should have used it because we were there in the heat of the summer, but we didn't ever have an opportunity to. For then we go all the way to the Atlantic coast, and in the Atlantic coast, we're going to dip into Brittany, which is in France, but it's also a Celtic region as well. And we're going to visit the town of Dinan, which you see these half timber buildings all over the place. So we'll spend an afternoon there touring that town of Dinan right there on this river. And then from that point, we leave and we go to Mont Saint-Michel. This is a famous mountain abbey and monastery that is just off the coast, but it's for years and years and years has been secluded, and the tide comes in at 12 feet per minute and goes out at 12 feet per minute. So this is Mont Saint-Michel. We stay one night there. We have dinner on the island as well. And we get to be there when all the tourists leave. And so that just makes it great because at 5 o'clock, no one's there except the people that are staying there. 9 o'clock, that place shuts down. All the restaurants close. Everybody goes home, but you can still walk around the island and see this. The seagulls are there, of course, all the time. They have free access. And this is inside the Abbey up there on the top of the mountain as well. This Abbey, actually, it's only the second time I've ever been in it. It was the last time I was there, and I had forgotten how beautiful it is, and I had a decent camera finally, and got some really good photos of the Abbey, inside the Abbey as well. This street is lined with tourists. This was the afternoon that we arrived, along about 3 o'clock, but in the evening, there's no one there. Recently, they've made this causeway, and you can walk or ride, and then they have a shuttle bus that takes you back and forth. The idea is to have the water surround the island like it used to do a century ago. And as you can see down the way behind that man's hand, there is a bridge where the water can surround the island now. From there, we go into the Normandy region, and Normandy is another province of France. And this is most well known to us Americans as the place where the invasion occurred in 1944, June of 1944. This is American Cemetery in Normandy, and the reflecting pond and the building there has the names of soldiers whose bodies who disappeared, but their bodies were never recovered. And then, of course, there are thousands of crosses and stars of David marking the spots for servicemen who lost their lives in the fight for freedom during World War II. There's also German graves as well, because there were many Germans there, and recall that they were sent there as well. And so this is one of the German cemeteries that's around. Stark contrast between the white crosses of the Americans and the black crosses of the Germans. This is Utah Beach, a group we had there a few years ago. And on Utah Beach, it looks like another fishing beach right here now, and beach for sunning. But all these boats came up on the thing with these men coming off the boats to liberate that portion of Normandy and making their way further to the east to liberate all of Europe. This is Pont de Hoc, which is one where the Army Rangers scaled the cliffs. And this is some of the German cannon machine gun batteries that were built out of concrete and ultimately bombed by the planes and ships offshore. Nearby is the town of Bayeux, and Bayeux has a wonderful cathedral, and it's also famous for a tapestry that's there from dating from the 12th century. And it depicts the William the Conqueror conquering, going from Normandy over to what we now know as England, conquering that area as well. This little town is the basin or the port of Bayeux. It's a great little place to go, and we love staying there. Then we head back to Paris for one final night, and we have dinner at a local restaurant, and the next morning you fly home. So that's 11 days, the best of France. You see that route, Paris to Paris, Paris, Bon-Amboise, Dinan, Mont Saint-Michel, Normandy, and then back to Paris. Finally, I'm on my last one, and I only have about 4 or 5 slides on this. The best Portugal, 11 days, $37.95. And remember, all those are $200 off for any 2025 departure. And Lisbon is just a beautiful city. Remember, Portugal was probably the most important 15th century country that fostered exploration. As a matter of fact, that's where Christopher Columbus left and came to the New World from. And so Lisbon is a beautiful city. It's underrated a lot. There's these famous streets that are just flat on the harbor that are all shaped with these stones. There's also areas up above town that are like have ancient medieval castles there as well, called the St. George's Castle. And Lisbon is also famous for the streetcars, kind of like San Francisco as well, but they're much older. And so Lisbon is a wonderful place. We have 2 nights in Lisbon, and then we go to Belém. Belém is just a short distance from Lisbon, and this is the monument of discoveries with Vasco da Gama and Christopher Columbus and all those others that I cannot remember now. Americus Vespucci. All those guys are Italians, but Portugal sponsored them, and they headed off for discovery. This is the Belém Tower. This tower would be the last place the sailors would see and sail by on their way out to discover if the world was really flat or not. And so they would have a prayer, and a priest would bless them as they went past there. Up to the north, we visit Coimbra and many other places, all the way up to the river called the Porto River, where the port wine grapes are grown and produced. And Coimbra is a wonderful town. We were there at a medieval festival one time and just had a great time as well. So Coimbra spills down the hill to the river below. It's also famous for this type of singing called fado. And fado is a lament type of singing. So it almost reminds me of the Irish singing when it's called Seanos singing in Ireland, where one sings in their language, closes their eyes, and pours out their heart for whatever they're singing. Same sort of thing, fado singing here in this region of Coimbra. Okay, so just to review the specials, $300 off the Best of Med. On the October 22nd one, please somebody sign up and go with us, Charlotte and I. We'd love to have you join us. We haven't done that tour since the pandemic. And then $200 off any tour that you sign up for that we talked about tonight. That departs in 2025. So that is Showcasing Europe for tonight. Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll be back at the same time tomorrow night talking about Italy, Greece, Croatia, and exploring beyond Africa in Tanzania on a safari. Thank you. Your adventure starts right here with David McGuffin's Exploring Europe.